Hey y'all, welcome to our second episode of Tuesday Talks with Bob. I'm Emily,
And I'm Sarah.
and on today's episode, we dive a little bit into Bob's history and a little bit about Ag Awareness Week, since it is Ag Awareness Week.
Yes, and if you didn't know what Ag Awareness Week is, basically it was something put by the Agriculture Council of America in 1973, and it was supposed to help us talk about agriculture and the industry as a whole and just celebrate what the industry does for everybody because it creates our food, feed, and fiber. So pretty important. And this is an introduction, so of course our guest of honor is Dr. Patterson, but he's not here, so we'll see y'all in the next clip.
Hey guys, welcome back to episode 2. This is a special episode, and we're going to touch a little bit on Ag Awareness Week since that's the week that we are in right now.
So we're going to get into the first question, which for Dr. Patterson, it's what does agriculture mean to you?
Everything.
Okay, there we go.
Agriculture means more to me than I can possibly describe in the amount of time that you're giving me. Growing up, where I grew up in the northwestern part of Catawba County, north of Hickory, what I remember about agriculture is what I'm hoping agriculture will continue to be and even grow into in the future. Agriculture to me means building healthy relationships, trust among all those who are involved in making sure that we use all our resources in a responsible way so that no child will go hungry. That's what agriculture to me means, using our environment, all our resources that we've been given, blessed to have, in a thoroughly responsible way to make sure that the families in our community are well fed, properly clothed, and housed in a healthy way. And I want to talk about what agriculture meant to me growing up, if it's okay, and what I'm hoping and praying that agriculture will continue to mean to all of you for the rest of your lives and for the rest of the lives of all of your children and your children's children.
On that note, what is your favorite memories? We made sure to put memories growing up on the farm because we know that there's got to be a lot.
I cannot thank you enough for giving me the opportunity to think about my childhood growing up on our farm in the Huffman Cove community in northwestern Catawba County. So many wonderful memories. And these memories that you have given me an opportunity to bring back into my mind have helped me in ways that I cannot begin to say. I'm changing my whole teaching in my courses because of you're giving me the opportunity to talk about what farming means to me and my favorite memories growing up on the farm. There's so many. And I mentioned relationships a moment ago. 3 Thursday nights out of 4, the, all the farmers in our community gathered at Hutto's store, which is not too far. We all walked there. Everybody walked. The fourth Thursday was Veterans of Farm VFW night, and a lot of the farmers were veterans. And so they would go to the VFW meeting on that Thursday night. But the other 3 Thursday nights, they gathered at Mr. Hutto's store, and all the little boys like Bobby would go there. We didn't say anything. We were too scared to ask questions, but we listened carefully to what the farmers were talking about. And the farmers were asking questions. How did you get to grow such a good crop of wheat or corn or whatever this season? How do you feel about your chickens? Are your hogs healthy? Are there any eggs that are breaking in the hen's nest? All kinds of questions. And they knew that these questions could be asked in a good way and answered in a very respectful way because there was mutual trust. And when a farmer heard a neighbor ask a question, that sent a powerful message to the farmer. He wants to know what I think. That meant a lot to the farmer who was receiving the message, to know that his neighbor wanted to know what he thought, and he was going to tell the truth. It was Huffman Cove community. We built community. So I have so many favorite memories. For example, we all gathered after the corn came in. We shucked corn at night, all sitting around. The women were in the kitchen fixing a wonderful meal. And we were shucking so that we could get the corn shucked so we could eat the food that the women fixed. I'm sorry. It is so true. We were thinking about a lot of things, including that wonderful food that we were going to get to eat after we got the corn shucked. We sat around a pile of corn and shucked it and had wonderful conversations. And then every now and then in the springtime, summer, early summer, we would hear a noise coming down this rocky road. That's the thrashing machine. We're getting ready to thrash wheat. So everybody would come together at each farm and we would thrash wheat by hand. It was in a shock, and we would bring it in to the farm before the threshing machine came, and we would thresh the wheat. We did it all together. Then we would move the machine to the next farm, and when the next farm, everybody pulled together, threshing wheat. And then when it got cold enough, had to be after the first killing frost, we would go to the first farm that was ready to butcher a pig or a hog. And my job was to mix seasoning with some of the meat and make sausage. And my fingers would sting for a few minutes, and then it didn't sting any longer. After over time, it didn't sting any longer. My job was to fix sausage, and that was a time when we had a killing frost early in the season, early in the fall in October. Now there's not a killing frost until a lot later, which means that there was a time when my mother would send me to a certain tree to get a certain fruit that I would bring back, and she would make a wonderful dessert out of it. What is that tree I'm talking about?
Persimmon.
It's a persimmon tree. Bobby, when we have 10 days or so after killing frost, you go get some persimmons. Yes, ma'am. And I would get them from a certain tree. Now there was another tree over there that was my daddy said it was a persimmon tree, but I never had any persimmons. I had no idea about male trees and female trees at that time. But then my mother's persimmon pudding with Jersey cow whipped cream was just incredible. It was incredible.
Really good.
I would milk cows. We didn't have any mechanized equipment. I milked by hand, and about once a month, my job was to get a pitchfork and try and move all the straw and the cow manure out of the stable and take it out into the fields and spread it out. And one of my challenges was to see if I could use that pitchfork to kill the mice that were crawling around. And the three-pronged pitchfork worked for getting the manure out, but the four-pronged would help me kill the mice better. So,
Okay.
Now, one of my challenges, wonderful feelings, was when mother said, Bobby, keep the hen house warm in the wintertime in February. The mother hen, she's got eggs. They got to hatch because we need the eggs that will come from the next group of hens. But you got to keep them warm enough so that the mother hen stays warm enough so that if she moves around, the eggshell doesn't break. So my challenge was to make sure that the hens was fed properly so that they wouldn't move around and break the eggshells. And I will never forget coming back to the cow, uh, the milk and the butter. We had onions and garlic. Boy, did we have onions and garlic. In the springtime, when we would make butter, and mother and I would take the butter to Mr. Hogan's store, the time he smelled it, he said, "June, I can't take this. It's not doesn't smell right." I could smell something. I didn't know what I was smelling. And mother started crying. And so this is how she made the butter. Y'all can see a pattern here. We had four of these. This is one of the four, and each one of them had a different pattern. And mother worked real hard to find out which pattern was the most fully appreciated. But this is a very special part of my growing up on the farm. And when you make butter this way, you appreciate butter a lot. You don't just go to the grocery store and buy it.
Yeah.
You make it, and that gives you fuller appreciation for the farming community.
Absolutely.
My mother, speaking of making things, this is one of mother's pot holders. And when I look at this pattern, I'm reminded of something. One time I was going to Mr. Hogan's store to get some feed for the cattle. We were low on cottonseed meal. Real Daddy didn't like me to get low on cottonseed meal. And she handed me a piece of cloth and she said, "Bobby, I need more of this." She was making a dress and she had run out of cloth. And we had gotten the cloth for the earlier part of the dress from Mr. Hogan's store. So I took the cloth with me. I showed it to him. "Yeah, I've got a sack of that." We went over there and it was on the bottom. There were many sacks above it, 100-pound sacks. He said, "Bob, you can have that one on the bottom, but you got to move them all." So I moved them all. I wasn't about to not go home, but that's that piece of cloth for mother. And I came home and mother was so excited. She said, "Now I can finish my dress." So she made this. We have a lot of examples of this that I can't tell you how invaluable they are. There are so many reasons why I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to go back in time. We didn't have any way of knowing about our soil. There was no such thing as soil testing service in Catawba County back then. We took a chance that we were doing everything right. Obviously, we had many problems that we didn't even know of. But now, today, we have a soil testing service. And we not only have a soil testing service, but we have students who take seriously the matter of learning about the basic properties of our soil, what makes our soil healthy. And as an example of that, I have to say that this young lady in this picture is a sterling example of how lucky we are to have students that care so much for the soil that you want to learn all you can about it.
Thank you,
so that
Dr.
you so
Patterson.
that you are able. What you're doing is you're respecting your elders when you want to learn about the soil and all that entails. We're just so proud of y'all for doing what you're doing, and I mean that sincerely.
Well, thank you.
Then there's a third question.
There is a third question. Would you like me to ask it?
Yes, if you
Okay. Our third question for Dr. Patterson is, when you were in the agronomy club, what did Ag Awareness Week look like?
And how has it evolved over the years?
a lot different. It was a lot different. It was an attempt to create awareness on the part of all the rest of the campus for how lucky the history majors, political science majors, psychology majors, and so forth were to have classmates who were here for the purpose of preparing themselves to continue being able to put food on the table for all of us. That and we took it seriously. Ag Awareness Week was very special. I am just so thankful that Ag Awareness Week continues to be taken so seriously, and it's obvious that you're taking it even more seriously than we did. We had a lot of my classmates back then had second jobs and third jobs. We had work to do. We were not able to be as involved as you are today. Y'all got work to do also, but what you're doing is you're balancing your time in a very special way. And I cannot tell you how wonderful it is to know that you and your classmates want to spend time at Ag Awareness Week connecting with not only yourselves in a better way, you get to know yourselves better, but also you help the students in the other parts of the campus
Yeah.
learn how lucky they are to have classmates who care as fully as you do. Ag Awareness Week was always special to me. It had a different terminology back then. And I'm just so thankful that we've continued that tradition. And what the Agronomy Club is doing and contributing to that is just so satisfying. I have no words to express our gratitude for what you and your classmates are doing in the Agronomy Club to make Ag Awareness Week the special week that it is. Thank you so much. Thank you so
Anytime.
much.
It is a really special week.
Yeah.
It's a very special week.
It's a lot of fun too.
It is. It really is.
We have been able to get some field crop plants over there for the students to look at. I remember a long time ago when it was over here on the brickyard over here, a student from somewhere in humanities said, what is that crop?" It was soybeans, but the student didn't know that it was soybean.
Yep.
And that's exactly why we have Ag Awareness Week.
And the student learned about it and then started asking questions. Well, what is it about soybeans? Then we just started talking about soybeans. And that student was able to think differently about agriculture from that day forward.
Yeah.
So what you're doing with Ag Awareness Week, all you're involved in Ag Awareness Week, is you're building a bridge across the water that connects us and the rest of the campus in very special ways. We're so proud of all of you. Thanks for what you're doing.
Thank you, Dr. Patterson.
Thanks for what you're doing for all of us. Thank you.
Now, would you say that that student learning would be your favorite memory of Ag Awareness Week, or do you have another favorite memory?
There are so many favorite members of Ag Awareness Week, but I think bringing them all together. What was most rewarding was when I would walk up to a student and start talking. We'd engage in a conversation, and I would learn that maybe they were a history major. And they would say something like, well, gosh, I remember studying about cotton when I was in a certain history course, but I had no idea. I'd never felt cotton, and I get to feel it now. And the sense of touch is so valuable. So when we bring resources like cotton plants over there, give the students a chance to have that sensory learning experience. Seeing a student from another college become excited about learning about what we're doing, that's a favorite memory.
Yes.
Because what we're doing when we do that is we're building a healthy connection. We're helping them get to know us better, and we're getting to know them better.
Yes.
It comes together.
That's special.
We're
That is
walking the
really
journey
special.
together.
Yes, that's right. And we still do a lot of answering questions out there.
Most
I really enjoy
definitely.
talking to a lot of people out there.
I do too. I'm excited for my shows. It hasn't happened yet.
But it's going to. It's
Yes.
going to. I think that Ag Awareness Week is one of the most useful ways that you will use your non-academic time. I say non-academic, extracurricular time.
There we go.
Extracurricular time. Because what you're doing is you're planting seeds that are going to germinate.
Yeah.
And it could be that those history majors, when they eat their supper tonight, the ones that were out there, they're going to think a lot differently about the food that they're blessed to eat.
Absolutely.
Because of the experience that you and your classmates gave them. I'm just so thankful for you, all of you, carrying on the tradition that were started a long time ago by your predecessors. You're respecting your predecessors, and you're also respecting the future.
Well,
we're in this journey together.
Kind of hungry now.
Yep.
Speaking of food, what was your favorite meal that was prepared when y'all were shucking the corn?
It was a cornmeal. We now normally we eat cornmeal at breakfast, but they always gave us something. I know this sounds corny,
Oh,
but they wanted to have something that oh well, also there was some sweet corn. We had some sweet corn left over, but it was the cornmeal and also the gravy. Oh my gosh. There were it was all good.
It's all
It was
good.
it was all good and we were hungry. We um if you get hungry enough, you'll shuck corn faster.
oh, that's right. Yeah,
And
something to look forward
and
to
then
at the
what
end.
we had to do
You get
before
through everything.
we had to put the corn the next day, not that night. We were too hungry. The next day we'd come back and put it in the corn bin.
Mhm.
And then we had to be careful. There were no chemicals to use back then, so we had to be careful. We had to be. We'd set some rat traps,
Mhm.
and then we would go empty the rat traps and reset them.
That pitchfork didn't work well.
No, that was in the stable.
I was in the
Yeah,
stable.
this
Okay.
was the corn was in a corn bin,
Mhm.
and the rats were in mainly mice. Because if we did our job right, the mice didn't become rats. They stayed mice, and so we would take care of the mice. Most of them, some of them got away. They were so fast.
Oh
They
yeah.
were hard to control.
Yeah.
But you're reminding me of a wonderful meal. The women they did their job very well. But the longer we shucked, the hungrier we got.
Oh yeah.
And later, as it got into the evening, we started shucking faster and faster. Because we could sometimes the wind would blow our way. We could smell what was coming out of the kitchen, and that
That's a
smell
motivator.
that smell was motivating.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, strong motivator, very strong motivator. There's no question about it. So those memories that you're giving me a chance to bring back in my mind, they're so special. And I want to say thank you to all of you for what you're doing here. You're giving all of us a chance to go back in time and realize how lucky we are, how thankful we must always be to those who were here before us.
That's right.
And as I was preparing my responses for this, I thought about the people that made it possible for me to be where I am today. I had no idea that if I came down here, then then I might be able to figure out how to control onions and garlic and just maybe the the butter that went to Mr. Hogan's store would not smell so bad. I had no idea. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
giving us an opportunity to go back in time.
Well, we have thoroughly enjoyed
Yes.
going back in time with you. And I mean, everything that you have said has come back to a sense of community tonight. And that
Yes.
just really, really speaks on the importance of
What y'all have done is you built community tonight and tomorrow and all of our tomorrows.
Yeah.
You're very special.
Well, speaking of community, it is Ag Awareness Week this week.
Mhm.
It did start Sunday, it'll end Saturday, and we just want y'all to know that your food does come from somewhere. And just a reminder to support your local farmers and thank a farmer if you see them. And also thank you to Dr. Patterson, Sharon,
Bob sounds a lot better.
Bob. Thank you to Bob.
And we will be out on not on the Brickyard, but at Wolf Plaza all week until Thursday. So make sure to come out and talk to us and learn a little bit more about agriculture.
Yes, the state's #1 industry.
That's right. Thank y'all so much.
We'll see y'all next week.
See you next time.
I was like $51. My God.
What we can do is one of us can film and then the other one can. That's funny.
Go Pack.
Woo.
ACC champs. We're like, slay.
Let me scoot in so that we can turn towards Bob just a little bit.
There we go.
Don't do that.
Oh, yes.
Turn it the other way.
No. I know. That was so good.
That was really good. Okay, I'm gonna move the camera just a little bit.
Beautiful.
You could never find out too.
Blooper.